That's what we were discussing.
Me eating?
Mm-hmm.
No, we were discussing what we were going to eat.
Oh, okay. And we are back live with the Blame Girl podcast with
Mr. Terry Wayne.
And we got Tom Neile in the house. What an intro. I'm like chewing mid intro. Sorry about that, Tom. Welcome to the Blame Girl podcast. This is how we do it. So professional here. Although it looks professional in here today, right?
Yeah, I told you I like the green screen. I like doing the from home. Yes, please. No more location shoots. Nightmare.
Out and about.
Yeah.
It never works. It never works. You know, it doesn't. Never works. So,
how was your weekend, Tom?
My weekend was the same as every other weekend. We're shows over at Doghouse, and that's what I do. I'm like a dog. I'm chained to the doghouse. So yeah, just that's what my weekends are. I'm there Friday nights, and Saturday nights, and Sunday afternoons, and all that.
So how was it? How was the crowd? Just tell us about it.
It's amazingly, weirdly good for this time of year, this part of the country. It's kind of weird. I mean, the last week had like standing room only shows on Saturdays. That's great. Well, I mean, it's a small space, but still. Usually, it's season. It's not season now. So, Pete, where's everybody coming from?
Do you think?
Season is changing. Because of the pandemic and all the influx of the Northeasterners coming down permanently and buying up property. And that's the same reason why the property value went through the roof down there, because there was so much competition to buy those houses over the last 3 years. So season's going to be changing. I used to have a couple of businesses that lived on it.
It changed a few years ago too. It did, because I was listening to an interview with a manager over at the Breakers. The Breakers.
Yeah, I had a shop right next to it.
Right. So, and he was saying that there's no such thing anymore as off season at the Breakers. So that's
when I had my place, we lived and died by it. We knew the day after Thanksgiving is when we could expect it to start, and the day after Easter is when it went away. But yeah, it's all different now.
I think also what may be affecting comedy is that the Improv has closed in West Palm. So I think some people that would maybe be looking for comedy shows and would go there, they're diverting around, because I hear all the Saturday shows are fire.
Yeah, because Casey is my partner at that place. I mean, he handles stuff like SEOs and all that. And so if you Google comedy anywhere around here, we're the first thing that's going to pop up, strangely enough.
Nice.
I've got nothing to do with it. But
well, it definitely deserved it. I liked your place. We'll get to that later, though.
Yeah. Terry, how was your weekend?
I'm starting to lose my mind a little in this small town. Like, the culture shock's really starting to set in. But I am making the best of it. I even made some tomato confit this weekend. Thought about you. Took some pictures. Meant to send it to you. Oh, you're eating it right now? You finally figured out the ricotta? I
forgot. Yeah, I finally figured out the ricotta, but I forgot my favorite part is that's the roasted garlic.
Yes, you have to have the garlic in there. It really infuses into the oil, and then that gets in the tomatoes.
You crush put that on, and I'm eating it with the cracker instead of bread this time. So
you can eat it with anything. You know me. I like to make the little crostinis out of French baguettes, but you can eat that with anything. You can do pita chips or naan or whatever you want.
I go rough with the baguette. I take the baguette and I just rip it up.
The biggest to me, you say it's the roasted garlic. To me, it's the red pepper flakes. You really have to judge those right, because if you put too much, then it's way too spicy. But if you put too little, you can't even taste them. So you really got to get that. That's the ratio you got to get down.
Yeah. I think it's the garlic. It's the garlic for me personally.
For you, yeah. Well, roasted garlic's great in everything.
I've seen people just make the garlic confit, and I was like, I don't know what they put with it. They like spread it on their bread and just eat
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah. Just put a little olive oil and some salt on a
Snack and potato chips, you know.
yeah on a bulb of garlic, wrap it in aluminum foil, and stick it in the oven for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Done. Easy. Makes everything better. I came up with something new. It's a like a not a sauce, but like a smear for a plate. So it's like kind of got a very smooth applesauce like texture, but it's carrots and roasted garlic and a couple of other things. But it's so good. I made some pork loin and put it on top of that. Oh, that was the best thing on the plate.
The food truck when you get it going.
I'm actually looking at a restaurant now. There was recently, I felt a little bit kismet, right in the town square, a restaurant space apparently went out of business about a week and a half ago. So I'm looking to poach that like a vulture.
It's for you.
Yeah, because if I can get that, we can get rolling.
Yeah, because
100%.
a restaurant or food truck whenever it gets going. So
Oh, absolutely. You'll have to come up for sure for the opening.
Anyway, so is that all you did this weekend? Have you gotten out to comedy? I remember you kind of mentioned it last week, right?
It's just it's so difficult for us right now with her schedule.
Oh, okay.
But I am I'm talking to people online trying to, because I mean here it's going to be probably a no-go. I did have a little bright spot here. There's an old like 50 style theater, like I think they even have like the historic landmark status, but it's still in operation and they do all kinds of stuff there. So I'm thinking of putting together a package and just approaching them with that. And then I can reach out to those Nashville comics and get them to come in and do like a monthly show, just one big comedy show with them. Yeah. Just get, 5 comics and do 20 minutes each, 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Still just thinking about it, putting it together. But yeah, they do like bands go in there and perform, and then they'll show old movies. And
well, it's good you're thinking about it again. So I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm putting it together. I need to get back. I really do. I felt it the other day, like that itch. I'm like, oh God, I need to have a good set right now. Like I thought about it the other day. I was like, maybe I'll go fly down and visit Dad and do a couple of shows down there just to kind of,
You're already trying to come back and do some comedy.
Well, just take, like I don't want to get hooked again, maybe, but I need a couple hits every now and again. I'm still addicted. What can I say?
So my weekend.
Nobody cares.
Apparently, I don't. I'm trying to remember what I did this weekend.
Even you don't care. This is boring for you.
It wasn't boring. I went and celebrated Joanna's birthday at Swampgrass Willie's.
I saw that online. Yeah, looks like it was fun.
My wife and it was fun, and I like it came down to like I usually go up when I go to Swampgrass, but Jackie was like, if I can't put you both up because Joanna decided last minute to go up, and I was like, put her up.
It's her birthday. Yeah, it's her birthday. You kind of have to.
Right, and then the fact that she wants to go up at all, like let her go up.
Why is she not going up anymore?
Not often. No, she'll do.
Okay.
She rarely goes to Mike's. So, but and then
I've been gone for 5 months. You got to fill me in on this stuff.
But think about it. Well, you wouldn't even know. Was Joanna doing Mike's when you were in?
Yeah. We were doing shows with it was you and me and Chris and her.
Yeah, the show.
And Sita. We did one in Orlando. We did one. Yeah, we were supposed to do one on the West Coast, but I had to bail at the last second.
Oh yes, I remember.
Yeah. Remember? Yeah.
Yeah, but those were shows. Anyway, and then Sunday I also I had a show Sunday night and at the Social Room in Hollywood, and it was fun, but there was like a last minute orders change, And
Mhm.
I went after Ella Rodriguez, and it was really hard to follow her. She like killed it. And then I had to go up and I was like, still pay attention to me. So it was rough, but
Yeah, but to me, you say those are
yeah.
You want them to be.
I'm not the headliner. It was like a slow build. And she's a headliner for one, and then she she does crowd work. She's very like engaging with the crowd, and I'm like monotone here, and I come right after her, so it was a little rough for me.
well, it is. I like hearing you say that though. It is important to know like your role, or at least like your placement and your style, because that can just sink a whole show. Like what was it? We were doing Voltaire. We were doing those Voltaire shows. Me and I can't remember the Russian kid that left and now he's a DJ. I'm blanking on his name. But yeah, we were setting things up and he wanted to get Dan Long out. And I said, well, yeah, we can have Dan Long come out and feature and then I'll close. And he goes, no, let Dan close and you'll feature. And I said, that's not going to work. Because Dan, his style is very subdued. He's got kind of like that dry delivery. I was like, if I go up there and blow it up with energy and all this, I said he's going to come on and it's going to be, and that's exactly when it ended up happening. I went along with it. I was just to go along to get along, but that's exactly what happened. I felt so bad for Dan. I'm like, hey, usually it's better around here. You know what I mean? Like usually the crowd's better.
Like I don't feel like I can go last. It's just don't put me last after a comedian. That's like putting me.
Yeah.
You ever see Brittany Brave? She's very energetic and very like. I would never be able to follow her.
Yeah.
She's got to close, and if I'm closing, I got to close. I can't.
You got to know how to manage that flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just another part that I'm learning about comedy, and I feel like crowd work. I always like go back to crowd work, but anyway.
Yeah, but that's also a good thing for other comics to know when you go into these places. Whoever's running the show, I don't care who booked you. Whoever's running the show, just make sure you're nice. Because when we were at the Improv and doing the open mics and stuff like that, well, I mean, like running the open mics to be in the showrunner and stuff. Like I never did this personally, but I do know some people who ran those new faces. Where like if somebody was being a dick or if somebody was irking them or annoying them, they would specifically put them in a spot to make sure that they had as little chance of a good set as possible. Yeah. He's like, what'd you say? All right. Yeah. You're going after, such and such.
So, all right, let's get to blaming, guys. This week we are not done talking about Hawaii. Hawaii is burnt and Wall Street is circling the body. Who's to blame? I like that, Terry, by the way. That's very good. You get it.
I'm gonna give you some more lines like that. All right. Yeah.
So as I said, Hawaii is burnt and Wall Street is circling the body because vulture agents are trying to buy up real estate in Hawaii for pennies on the dollar as wildfires continue. So they're buying up that land. Who's to blame, guys?
Who invented capitalism? That's the guy.
Ronald.
That's the guy.
Ronald Reagan.
No,
he didn't. He definitely didn't invent it.
He invented Margaret Thatcher. That's who's to blame.
Yeah.
Who invented?
Well,
that's who's to blame.
Yeah.
Well, you could easily just say the devil, because if you're religious at all, he's the one that puts that greed in your heart where it doesn't matter,
I mean, the part of the matter is like, why do we have this for-profit real estate industry where people can buy up all the properties and then
that's a bit
vulture agent? Like, you have the housing affordable enough for us to buy our own houses that we don't have to rent from.
Well, my question is, did we learn nothing from 2008, from the housing market crash? Keep Wall Street out of real estate. Now, I don't care about for-profit real estate. Real estate has to be for profit. That's the only way an average person can make any kind of money whatsoever to try and provide for their future. So you have to have that. They've got no chance without that, no chance without home equity. But keep Wall Street out of it. It's too important. And we learned this. We just did this. You know what I mean? They made a Brad Pitt movie out of it, for God's sake.
I think that a lot of people get it wrong when they look at these billionaires and these owners of these large corporations and call them job creators. We were the job creators. We're the ones. They are just someone who realized, hey, I've got this stuff over here and these people over here will buy it. I'll put them together and take what I can get out of it. But without anybody to buy your services or your stuff, there's nothing. So we are the creators. And if we don't have the money to spend, there's no one who's going to create a job.
I'm so happy you said that. The first book I ever wrote, I never published it, but the first book I ever wrote was based on that principle. Because I learned that at 14 years old. Because I worked at, I graduated at
since 14 years old, so we've got a lot in common.
Right. I graduated at 14, so I immediately went to work. I worked for McDonald's. You know, they would hire 14-year-olds back then, but to do like non-dangerous work. They wouldn't let me do the grill or anything. Every once in a while, let me get the fries out, but which is crazy because that's the most dangerous job in the whole place is working with that hot oil. But yeah, I remember. No, I just like ring up orders and, you know, clean up the dining room and all that. And some, I guess, vagrant or crazy person or whatever had gone in the bathroom and smeared feces all on the wall, right? And the manager came to me and said, all right, you need to go clean that up. And I walked into that bathroom and I saw that and I said, I don't need this job. And I walked out and just left. That was it. That was my first walkout of a job. I was like, I'll be fine. I don't need this money. I don't need it that badly. And as I was walking home, I thought about it and I said, you know, if everybody just did what I just did, we'd get treated a lot better. If they realize that if there's nobody there to ring those orders and if there's nobody there to clean that shit off the walls,
to make the orders or to buy the food,
to do any of it. And it occurred to me, I was like, people have so much more power than they realize. They just have to get together, which is why the wealthy and the powerful have always fought against unions, have always union busted, saying, oh, it's just corrupt, it's this, it's that, and blah, blah, blah. And they'll point to examples. You know, they'll point to the mob days in the 60s and what's his name, the guy who disappeared, Jimmy Hoffa and the mob and all that. Hey, man, the mob used to run Vegas. We still got casinos open. We just figured out a better way to do it. You know what I mean? They don't want us collectively bargaining because they know how much power we actually have.
Yeah.
We gotta give it up to our boy Jason Pellish because he's always here to be the antagonist. And he says that in this case, instead of capitalism, it's Karl Marx that's to blame somehow, but without an explanation.
I have no idea how is Karl Marx a communist?
Not one of Karl Marx's ideas have ever been put into practice anywhere, so I don't know how you can blame him.
No,
maybe a bit of a jerk, but we've never found out because no one's ever actually done Marxism anywhere for more than 15 seconds until someone decided, hey, I can take advantage of these people.
Tom, I think you'll enjoy this little fun fact. I've been to Karl Marx's boyhood home. It's in a small town in Germany. I didn't know I was going there, by the way. I was just walking by and I saw a plaque and it said the boyhood home of Karl Marx. I think it's either in Worms or in Trier, one of these small towns in Germany, when I was over there with my ex-wife. But you know what it is now? It's a dollar store. It's a dollar store. I swear to God. I put a picture on, it's still on my Facebook somewhere.
Well,
Karl Marx's boyhood home is a Euro shop, which is their version of a dollar store.
Oh my God, you can't write that.
He would be proud.
You can't write it. It's almost like the Illuminati saw it and was like, we're doing this.
I mean, other than it being a corporation, I guess, but I mean, at least it's like cheap stuff, you know, affordable.
It's just, it's so ironic.
Affordable because somebody took all the money, so you got no money. afford
Yeah.
somewhere.
So you buy your shit for your garbage thing that's going to break in a day, and you get your $1.
It's like someone broke into your house and stole almost all of your food, and you've got some of it left. And then somebody comes from Mexico and wants to have a crumb of your cookie, and you go, "There's the guy who did it." It's like, what are you talking about? It's all gone. Why are we playing this one cookie that's left? You know?
Well, I know, and that was kind of like the words for white people last week was how the economic disaster that's looming behind us, because you have so much of the water in the pool, meaning, the money in our currency has been drained out, that, people are just struggling just to get a cup and try and swim in it. And you can't do it. And people have these billions and billions of dollars. Well, good luck with that. Cause I don't know how that's going to work when your dollar ain't worth anything. Cause you know what I mean? That was the whole point of cryptocurrency. Let's give the dollar competition.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
but it's all coming back.
There's some QAnon competition going on, right? And we got a 13-year-old girl that is apparently the new leader of the QAnon cult, the JFK QAnon cult, to be clear.
She always has been.
Who's the blame?
A 13-year-old girl has always been in charge. I don't care what they actually are or look like. They're all 13-year-old girls, in my opinion.
Who's to blame? Everyone that's ever left a comment in social media is to blame. You know why? When somebody runs onto the field from the crowd in the middle of a game, and the stewards have to get rid of him, they never show the guy. They never put him on the camera because that would just encourage him. That's what he wants, and that encourages the next guy. Hey, I'll be on camera. So they don't. So every time you even mention QAnon, whether you like him or not, every time you put him, you make him a headline, make him a click, make him anything. You're just doing their job for them.
Terrorists win.
I have not said the name of or written the name of our glorious last president at all. I will not speak his name, and I will not write it.
Wow.
Are you sure? Because he gets a raging hard on every time you say his name. Do you know that?
I don't say it. I don't say it. Yeah, right. I don't want to be a fluffer.
You mean that name right there? No.
That's the one. I don't know it.
Yeah. He just went up. He just went up another inch.
Yeah.
I said that name. But nonetheless, Terry, what say you here? Why do you think this is fucking happening? Why is a 13-year-old girl running QAnon now?
Because it's a perfect example of how dumb you have to be to believe that shit. Like,
good.
You know what I mean? Like,
you
have to. It's so unbelievable. Like, anybody who's ever actually looked into it, like my sister almost got wrapped up in that during COVID and the lockdown and all that. She went down one of these rabbit holes, and she started telling me about it one night. And this was when it had first really started to grow. And I hadn't even heard about it. I didn't make the association of what she was telling me. She's like, do you know that 2,000 children in America get taken every day? And I was like, that can't be right.
Aren't that many Catholic priests?
Yeah, well, so 2,000 a day. That's what she said. She said 2,000 kids in America get stolen every day and sold worldwide on the black market. So I said, that's impossible. And she goes, no, it's happening. And I said, okay. So I took a calculator and I took my phone. I looked up how many children are in America. I got how many children are in America. Then I took a calculator and I divided that by 2,000. And I told her, so I said, okay, in 302 days, less than a year, all the children are gone. Literally all of them would be gone. I said, I don't know where you're hearing this from, but it's insane. It's not possible. And she goes, well, you need to look up some more stuff. And I was like, dude, I just showed you how this happened. You know what I mean?
You asked, how is it that a 13-year-old girl is running this? I look at this and I ask, how is it that a 13-year-old girl isn't running this? You know, I mean, who else could possibly? It's got to be this, or
They do seem like they
the flat earthers too could be. The flat earthers are run by a 14-year-old boy, which is crazy.
Is it?
Maybe.
No, but it should be. It's, all you need to do to learn about these conspiracy theories is look up one called "Birds Aren't Real."
Oh my
right?
God. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Birds Aren't Real is my favorite Andy Kaufman troll ever, because you know that
Ronald Reagan. And you know what's
not
it goes even deeper, because they even have little niche groups that are like Christians against birds, right?
I understand that, but broad strokes, you have to remember, if you've ever looked this up and you've ever looked into it, because the first second I heard it, I was like, tell me more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I invite them to try and brainwash me. I'm like, come on, tell me more. And after about an hour of looking into it, I found out that the hashtag Birds Aren't Real movement was started by a sociology major in college as a prank. Like it was a joke. He was like, let me see how far I can get the craziest, dumbest thing. So he created it, admittedly on camera, said, yeah, I created this as an experiment to see how far it could go. And it's still going. And they know, like he's on camera saying, I'm doing this I'm trolling you. Yeah. And they're still believing it. Yeah. It's insane.
It is.
I don't know who said it, but there's a famous quote that said, it's easier to it's easier to fool someone than it is to convince them that they're being fooled.
Well, let's talk about how she's fooling them.
That is so true. That is so, there's some stubborn little ego thing.
This particular sect of the QAnon cult believed that President John Kennedy and his son, JFK Jr., who we know died in a plane crash, are still alive.
Right.
Why would they believe? And here's the funny part. Everybody who believes this shit is conservative. Why would you want that? He's famously a Democrat.
Well, that's
both of them were famous Democrats.
But they did it as part of some global conspiracy, maybe?
What? I'm just saying it's stupid. It's like hearing 50 years from now, conservative right-wingers are saying, hey, you know, Nancy Pelosi's still alive and she's secretly going to come back. Yeah. It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now anyone with a webcam and a halfway decent internet connection is a reporter. And it's like, well, you know, there's a difference between an opinion and a theory. You know, an opinion is just some shit you think. And it can be right. A theory is something that's built up, and there it is. And it's the best we've got, and no one's been able to knock it down yet. But the minute someone pokes a pinhole in it, it's gone.
Oh, it doesn't have to be a pinhole. I just poked a huge pinhole in Birds Aren't Real. The founder of the damn thing said it was a joke, and it was a troll on dumb people, and they still fucking believe it. That's not a pinhole. That's a bazooka.
You get people on TV or whatever, you know, like here's this scientist who represents people who've been working on this for the last 1,000 years, and here's this guy who had a thought, and they get equal time because, you know, his thought is as worthwhile as this person who's actually studied this thing.
Well, not even that. It's so biased. It's like when they discuss when you see these shows, these network news shows, where it's about climate change, and then you got a climate change denier on this side and a climate change scientist on this side. That's not a fair representation because, again, it's 99.6% of all scientists. So what you should have is 99 scientists over here and then one dude. And then you could, now you're making an accurate depiction of the argument.
So what I would want, which I'll never get as an atheist, is on a Sunday, I'd like to go from church to church and demand equal time. But I'm not going to get it. But if I espouse a view, someone from there is going to say they need equal time, even though they've got 99% of the time. So
there is a difference, but you know, church is a private organization, so they have the right. It's their club, Yeah, they don't have to let you in and give you time.
Terry's a pastor. I don't know if you know that.
True.
What? No, I'm not. My father has been a pastor his whole life, my whole life. So
Terry's also an atheist.
I am not an atheist. No, I choose to be an agnostic just because, and I'm going to quote another comedian here, Kyle Kinane. Don't take all the mystery out of life. You know what I mean? Like, oh, is somebody following me? Maybe it's a chupacabra, like just leave a little bit of a veil of mystery.
As an atheist, I think people misunderstand things a lot. I mean, there's a difference between a belief and a fact. And so as an atheist, I don't say there's no God. I just say I don't believe it. How do I know? How do you know? If you're a believer, how do you know? You don't know. Belief is binary. No. You believe something or you don't. If I ask you, do you believe the sun's shining right now? You can't say I don't know.
I admit I don't.
Okay, I get asked this question all the time.
I'm not asking you if the sun's shining. I'm asking you what you believe.
I believe the sun is shining, but I can't prove it.
I believe I don't know.
Right. Well,
if I have a lottery ticket, do you believe it's a winning lottery ticket? If you're not
you're not gonna win.
If you're not willing to pay me $10,000 for this ticket, you don't believe it. And if you do pay me $10,000 for the ticket, that doesn't make it a winning ticket. So your belief has absolutely no impact on reality.
Well,
neither does mine.
My favorite answer to this, because I get asked this all the time because of my father and who he is and me and who I am. Go ahead, Tom. Ask me if I think there's a God.
Do you think there's a God?
I hope there is. That's it. That's not a belief. That's not a belief. It would be great if there was. And if there's not, I won't know about it because it'll just go black and that's it. It's fine. I hope there is. I really do, because then a lot of things would make more sense.
I hope I have $6 million in my bank account, but I don't think I can write that check out to anybody.
Exactly. I'm not going to put anything on the line for it. But wouldn't it be great?
Yes, getting all existential.
Yeah.
Who would have known?
Well, and
asking the important questions about life.
JFK. Just one thing because I know you and I know you're about to transition.
Okay.
I just to support Tom's atheism, I do think it's just as valid of an argument as religion. I know that Stephen Hawking said that I can no more prove the existence of God than I can disprove the existence of God. I can't prove it either way. But the best one I ever heard was from Ricky Gervais, a very famous comedian, very famous atheist that goes to bat all the time. He said, if you took every religious book on the planet and burned it, and then took every scientific book on the planet and burned it, 1,000 years from now, those scientific books would be back the exact same way that they are, because they could still prove the same theories. They could still do the same experiments. They could still do the same things. Those religious books might come back, but they're not going to be the same anymore because there's no bedrock to base them off of. Well, that's the best argument I've heard.
What he also said was, there have been 3,001 gods. You don't believe in 3,000 of them.
2,099. Yeah.
And I don't believe in 3,001 of them. So what's the difference?
I just don't believe in one more God than you.
Exactly.
Well, the Hindus believe all gods are true.
Well,
that would be great.
There's hundreds of thousands of gods.
I wish I sold real estate.
Personally, the thing that I would like is that we feel a connection to a greater power, but we don't know how to interpret it. So we just kind of look. We kind of look for things to prove our own theories, and they're just random acts. But if you look backwards, you can kind of piece it together to kind of prove the point that you want to make. So you don't go out looking for answers. You go out, you have the answer, and you go out looking for proof to prove your answer that you already have, which is ridiculous. I would like it if the whole universe is connected subatomically, on an energy level, because everything at the smallest parts is made of the same thing, which is energy. Wouldn't it be nice if that was God and we were all connected, everything? And then when you die, your energy just goes out and becomes part of the machine again.
That's true. That is true.
I don't think we're all
That's what I think. I think energy is God, and we're part of it.
I just don't think we're all connected because, I mean, there's people out here that are doing something called jugging, and I'm not.
That's the transition. I told you it was coming. I told you it was coming.
Those people.
I told you it was coming. I told you.
Thank you.
That's why I wanted to get that last thing in real quick.
I don't even know what jugging is. I kind of do. Who's to blame?
I'm going to let our guest explain it because he did a good job earlier.
No, this is okay.
Who's to blame for jugging?
Well, no. Like, what is jugging first?
What is jugging?
Let's define it first.
Learned it the other day. It's purposely following somebody from a bank who you know is withdrawn cash, and when they go back to their business or whatever, ripping him off. Then supposedly that's what it is. I never heard the term until like last week.
Is it just banks or?
Well, wherever you're going to get money from. But
they
do.
Well, who's to blame for it with all this jugging?
Who's to blame?
Sure.
Well, I tell you, I don't know exactly. You determine who's to blame from what I'm about to say. Okay.
Sure.
If I were defending someone who did that, I could defend them. I could say, listen, Your Honor, it wasn't theft. They were sampling. It was just sampling.
Like last week.
If the hip hop guys can get away with major theft and call it sampling, why should my client have to suffer?
Yeah.
Thank you. Facts, spitting bars. I rest my
Sure. First of all, I want to say this. This is not a new phenomenon. It's a new name that they gave to it. But I remember I was a GM for Boston Market in 2000, I want to say 2006, 2005, 2006. Oh, no, it was 2005 for sure. And we had security protocols specifically for this, that when we had to go make deposits at the bank, we always had to do them in alternating schedules at different times. When we had to go into the bank and get change orders, to go and get a small bills and
you had to switch up the time so you wouldn't get jugged.
Yeah, we'd have to switch up the time. We'd have to do it all the time at a different time, different place, take a different route, different person with a different car. Like this is an old crime with a new name.
Yeah, the old name used to be the Great Train Robbery. That was the
exactly. Yeah, you knew the time the train was coming. There's money in there. Let's go get it.
Exactly.
And who's to blame? Who else? The fucking rich. That's who. The 1%ers that are never satisfied and keep draining the pool, because poverty leads to crime. Crime leads to violence. And violence leads to death, and they can all be traced back to the lack of opportunity for the average person. No one, I've known killers. I've literally met killers in prison before, and nobody that I've ever known, I mean, unless you're talking about like some psychopath, like Jeffrey Dahmer or somebody who's got mental issues, nobody's going to risk their life and their freedom to go and steal or rob when they have an opportunity over here to have success or security or wealth made honestly. They're just not going to do it. But they see, I'm telling you, even on a subconscious level, they see, like
on top of last week when we were talking,
they see how hard the game is rigged, and they just give up. They're just like, well, you've rigged the game completely. And I would have to not only work my whole life, but I'd have to be insanely lucky to get an opportunity and then work hard just to get to this thing, or I can just rob you and take it. That's what you're doing. You're giving them an unwinnable game to play. And of course they're going to freak out and go rob some people.
Yeah. How many derivatives have these people sold?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How many pensions
see how it works.
Yeah.
Don't have access to the phone numbers.
They can't do it on a large scale. Like
these guys were Hispanic that were trying. So, okay. So how many pensions has Juan taken away from people? You know what I mean? Like how many lives has he ruined out of greed? You know? It's so insane to me the way we run.
Why are people transporting cash anyway? Whatever happened to just like a credit line? You know,
Well, businesses, sometimes you need cash, you know.
We talked about 2008. 2008, housing market collapse. Fucks with the entire global economy. Millions of people lose their homes. Millions of people all over the world lose their money, lose their pensions, lose their retirement because of these fuckers on Wall Street. One guy got arrested after that. One guy.
Because it's the welfare queens. That's what's the real problem. It's the
that's the real. Yeah, it's the real problem with their $300 a week.
Well, now they are going after corporations because the cops, they raided a newspaper as revenge for an investigation. Y'all, who's to blame? Terry, tell us about this story.
I'm going to blame the judge that signed off on that warrant because they knew that shit was bullshit the second they signed it. They knew before they even typed it up. They knew it was bullshit. And that's why it got withdrawn. Because that judge signed off probably because the sheriff's a buddy of his and they golfed together or whatever and signed off on
details of the story before you.
And then the second it got national attention, he was like, whoa. You're on your own, Chuck. You know? But no, it became a national story because it is frightening. It's frightening, even in a small town situation like that, where you can have a sheriff that gets investigated and reported on for misconduct. Well, that's what I'm explaining. The paper did a story on the local sheriff about his misconduct and the way that he was running his department and the misappropriations and the malfeasance, and he didn't like it. So then they placed a warrant to search over some bullshit story.
What state, Gary?
Oh, I'm sorry. Small town outside of Kansas City, in Missouri, which between this and Ferguson, we're starting to see a pattern here for Missouri, you know. But no, they run the story. He doesn't like it, wants to squash it, wants to put down any kind of civil disobedience against his authority, and it just gets done. And the only reason we're even talking about it is because they had enough gumption to put it online, put it on social media, and then it spread like wildfire. And now we're talking about it. But I guarantee you this shit happens at 1,000 small towns all over the country.
This stuff right now is flowing downhill. This stuff starts at the top.
Let's say shit. This shit flows downhill.
Yeah, it was with the president of the United States basically going after any news organization that and not even having press briefings because he doesn't want any adults in the room when he's talking. Demonizing the press.
The former president?
Yeah, well, they still think.
Yeah, it's an example. You're exactly right, Tom. He set an example that anybody who reports on things that you don't want them to report on, that's the enemy. He literally called them the enemy of the state.
Yes,
it's given DeSantis, you know, like I wasn't sure where it was, you know.
I don't even think he would do that.
Oh, I feel like he totally would.
Actually, he already did that.
I don't think he would, but who knows?
He's already done it. He already did it. He did it with Disney. He's still doing it with Disney.
No, I mean with the press. I mean with the press.
But here's the thing: Disney is big enough that they are kind of the press. If they release a statement, every news outlet's going to pick it up. Yeah. So they are kind of the press, and they came out and they said, we don't agree with this. We don't agree with these policies. Disney has suffered long time for the queer community. Even when I was a kid in the 90s, they were getting backlash because they were the first ones to have like gay days. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That actively homosexual people can come and it's a day with, just for them.
It's their market. That's part of their market.
Right, exactly. But because they did that, they had boycotts. Look it up. In the 90s, they had boycotts, boycott Disney, this and that.
DeSantis, I was just going to say on that note where like retaliating against gets the press. DeSantis fired Rebecca Jones, who reported on the COVID numbers. And then they've, here in Florida, tried to make it mandatory to report to the state if you're like a blogger.
Yeah.
Oh, they all do it. Look at what's his name from New York, with that New York governor that had to resign. What was his name?
Pataki?
No, the governor.
After Pataki?
No, yeah, the governor during the pandemic.
Oh, right.
He was so famous for a second, and now he's gone.
The one with the prostitutes?
No, the one that was accused of inappropriate contact or whatever. Anyway, he's a Democrat. He did the same thing. He told his people to downplay the deaths of the elderly during COVID in his state in those nursing home facilities. They all do it.
Yeah,
I'm
a Democrat, but my God, I mean, there's very few things as corrupt as the New York State legislature.
I mean, it doesn't matter, to be honest.
Exempt from being corrupt.
Of course not.
So,
but
that's why I'm saying they all.
When they get called them out,
but when they get shamed, like Al Franken, they actually have they actually say, okay, I quit. I'm gone. You're right. As opposed to saying, well, this is just going to sell me more books.
Yeah.
Cuomo. That was his name. Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he had to resign in disgrace after that whole scandal about inappropriate touching or whatever. But no, he had them downplay the numbers in his state at those retirement communities the same way that DeSantis did it on the other side. Like, when you make your vote.
Yeah, but he was called out on it,
Well, DeSantis has been called out on it. The only difference is the GOP doesn't self-regulate. Yeah, when Cuomo got called out on it, he faced pressure from both sides, from the DNC and the GOP. When the GOP fucks up, they only have pressure from the DNC. No, have you not seen over the last 15 years? And Republicans will not attack Republicans. I don't care what they do.
Yeah.
Fucking that dude from Alabama literally was a sexual predator, and they still defended him.
Hey, a loyalty oath is a loyalty oath, whether it's here or in North Korea. A loyalty oath. Here's this. This is news, by the way. This is a thing. This is true. A very, very dear friend of mine, just last week, was put in jail here in Florida, in Broward County. Why? Because in another county where he used to live, the sheriff didn't like him, the family or whatever. So he had this cross-county thing done. So now he has to sit in Broward County jail on what everyone knows is bogus charges, because they can't extradite him to the other county for at least 30 days. So he's got to sit there and knowing that when they do extradite him, that the charges will have to be dropped because there aren't really any. It's just some guy playing fast and loose with the law. Somebody who sees this as his fiefdom down here, and he gets away with it.
It was Roy Moore, by the way, was the gentleman that I was talking about. Roy Moore, dyed in the wool, totally used to cruise the malls for 15-year-old girls when he was well into his 20s and 30s. And the president of the United States stood by him and endorsed him to run and to endorse him to win the Senate seat. And nobody said...
That was like a few years ago.
Yeah, cowboy hat and everything.
Yes.
It doesn't fucking matter if it was a few years ago. It's the precedent that keeps getting set. If you've got an R next to your name, you are ungoddamn touchable to the GOP.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to say, Jason says this is way too lefty. It's painful for him.
Good.
I'm sorry, Jason. These are just the facts, man. If you think it's lefty, that's fine. You know me. I'm nobody's puppet, but the dude was a pedophile. Ridiculous. He just was.
He's just being an antagonist. Don't listen to him.
That's fine.
We'll let Jason get to know the guests. Okay. Welcome, Tom Neile.
Oh God.
The owner of Doghouse Theater. How you doing?
I'm doing well. All right, good. How you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's awesome to have you here on the Blame Girl podcast.
It's nice to be here.
I'd love to.
Well, let me ask you one question before you get started, Gio, just so you can collect your thoughts there. You said you're partners with Casey. So is Casey an owner as well, or you two own it together, or do you own it by yourself?
No, I mean, my name's on the lease, but he serves as a business manager. It's his,
Okay, so like a collaboration. Okay, I just didn't know. That was just my
Sick-
personal.
Sick Puppies Comedy is his thing, which
Always has been. Yeah, no, I love Casperson. I always have.
yeah, right.
Doghouse is the
So he and
facility.
I mean, I was there from the start of Sick Puppies Comedy, so that, but it's that thing. And I thought, but Sick Puppies had no place to be for a while, and I decided we needed a place to be. So,
Which is a shame, because in South Florida, I have always considered them, at least, to be the premier improv troupe in South Florida. You know,
I think we are now. If we weren't,
Yeah.
we may have been, but I think we.
I think you always have. As far as I've been doing, I did comedy down there for 12 years. From the day I started, that was the place to go for improv. You know, so I mean, even when I worked for the improv, I hate to keep using that word, but when I worked for the improv, Renee, one of the owners, had me go and audit Casey's class just to get involved and see what he was doing. And I thought it was great. Wasn't for me. I couldn't do it. I failed. I failed. Like, I don't know how to yes and. You know?
It's not about the worst improv students or stand-up comedians. They just can't do it. It's
no,
true.
I can't. I don't play.
Stand-up comedians are gunslingers, and you can't build an army of gunslingers.
I want to know about you as a comedian, improvist. How long have you been doing both? Because you do comedy.
I do, but I don't get to do it now because like I said, I'm changed to that place, so I can't go and do stuff. I can't even do improv elsewhere. I can't go to festivals because I'm kind of at the brick and mortar, which I knew going in. So everyone else is getting the benefit from it. And say, hey,
wait, so you own the place, but you can't book yourself a spot on your own show? Like, come on.
The show. There. Elsewhere. Yeah. Like, hey, I was at the Tampa Improv Festival this week, Tom. Why weren't you there? Because I have the keys to this place and I have to open it.
And just to open this up, little promo for you. Anybody who doesn't know, the Doghouse Theaters in Delray, they do the one show that I'm a huge fan of is a mix between stand-up and improv, which I thought was just such a brilliant idea the first time I did it. Because I thought I was just going to do a set. So they have a stand-up comic go on stage, do a 5-minute set, and hopefully it goes well for everybody. But then after that, the improvisationers, or I don't know what you call yourself, but the improvisationists are backstage. They're listening to the set, and then they go up and they do improv based on the premises that you just did your jokes on, which I thought was brilliant. I thought that was a brilliant idea. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then on Saturdays we do strictly improv, 3 shows and all kinds of weird stuff.
I want to get to know him. Terry, stop talking.
All right.
Tom, how long have you been doing this?
It's hard to say. I mean,
have to be a long time.
When I was 6 years old, my father bought a tape recorder, put it on the dining room table, turned it on, and started doing improv with me. And so is that when it started? I don't know. I was doing it in college, and I was doing it there. I was one of the owners.
How long have you been doing shows in front of people? Let's start there.
I've done it in college, and long ago, back in Roman numeral days, and I was one of the owners of an improv theater down in Miami on Coral Way. I was there for like 13 years.
What's it called?
I don't want to give any props to my competitors, but I'm just kidding.
I'm like, does it start with a V?
No.
Hey.
Just kidding.
I'm just gonna float out here in space while you do this.
No, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I was there for a long time and taught there and directed and all that kind of stuff. And then
Wow.
and for a long time I was both at Sick Puppies and Just the Funny. I was kind of the bridge between them. And then this opportunity came up to leave Miami, although I lived in Boca the whole time. I had to leave Miami and just focus on this and give Sick Puppies a place to live, which is why I called it Doghouse Theater. And then a month after we opened, the pandemic hit and we had to lock down for a year and a half.
Oh, man.
But we stuck it out and yeah, we did.
All right. So I don't know how to ask you this because I want to say, what's your favorite venue to perform at? But we usually say, but you can't say the Improv. But I almost feel like we got to say, you can't say Doghouse. But are you out there performing?
I'm not anymore because, as I said, I can't do it anymore. I literally have to be at this place. So everyone else goes, and I've gone now and then. One of my proudest moments was with Casey and a couple of other people. We actually were invited to the Improv in West Palm years ago to do, wait for it, improv there. We actually did improv
at the
improv. We had little headsets and mics and stuff. And when we were done, there were like 600 people there for that. And when we were done, people kept asking, why don't you do this here all the time?
Yeah, it's called the Improv after all.
I mean, it is. And it's like, yeah, because
That's why I hate when they name stand-up clubs the Improv. Because there's many different corporations all over the country that do this, and it's all one big housing thing. But just call it stand-up. Like, why are you confusing everybody?
Well, it's called the Improv because in New York, years and years and years ago, the place used to be a jazz club. It's called the Improvisation. But then you have to pay jazz musicians. So you didn't have to pay comics. So suddenly let's turn it into a comedy place, keep the name. And
you didn't have to pay.
Wow, there's your fun fact for the day.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So I was gonna ask you what your proudest moment was, and I feel like you just kind of
well, that's my proudest achievement is that the entire reason that I opened Doghouse Theater was because I wanted to. I'm interested in only quality and innovation, and we don't do goofy ass stuff. We're constantly innovating, constantly working on our quality. We don't just pat each other on the back and call each other geniuses. We actually work at it. And when it's not right, we slap each other around and get it right. So that ethic, I think, is the thing I'm proud of the most.
What's your biggest challenge?
To keep that going, to find people. If this is South Florida, there aren't actors and improvisers just drifting by on the street like there would be in LA or New York. So you've got to grow your own. You've got to grab people and teach them from the ground up, and then they sprout and you got them. And then they go to LA and New York.
Yeah.
But
and I
which is
take
cool.
it that's
Which is
happened for you.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad for them.
Which is what they should do.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should either be in New York, Chicago, or LA.
Absolutely.
As much as we wanted to try and build the South Florida scene, it just didn't happen. That's what we always used to say back, like when I was first starting. It's like, well, we got to build this. We got to be unified. We got to build this community, this scene, and it just doesn't work out the same way, unfortunately.
Unified is the rough part.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing okay, and I think that the improv place just north of us, Cat Kenny's place, is doing well. I think they're doing well down in Miami. So it's there.
Well, don't make the distinction, Gio, between improv and stand-up. It's all comedy, so you're trying to build a comedy scene. Improv is going to have its place, stand-up's going to have its place.
I don't disagree with that. Like
yeah,
you remember Crystal? She was on the show.
Sure.
She was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and she just moved here from LA, and she was doing improv all out in LA, and she had all these people, like I guess she had done improv with someone that's on SNL now, and then you've got the one that's the kid that's from out of Miami. I've never seen him or performed with him as a comedian, but I think he may have come out of improv. Marcelo Hernandez.
Marcelo, yeah.
So,
I know Marcelo. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's on.
There you go. Let's get the skinny from Tom while he's here.
Years ago, Miami. Yeah. Good for
He's
him.
like young. He's like 25.
Yeah.
A young kid, but yeah, he's on SNL now. So
Good.
yeah.
Well, it's yeah. If you're gonna, I've always said if you're gonna do comedy, and you're thinking about it as a teenager, start, because if you're gonna make it, you're probably gonna make it when you're young. There ain't like Lewis Black made his career in his mid 40s, but that story doesn't normally end that way. It's a lot harder.
Well, if you want to become a millionaire in the improv scene, just start as a billionaire and open up a comedy club.
Well, I gotta hit the lotto first.
That's a great line. That is a great line.
Tell us a little bit more about you, like where you from, how long you've been in Florida.
What is it, Tom?
I've been in Florida.
Do you have a day
Since
job?
the age of reason.
business?
I don't have a day job now. I for years, I'm originally from New York, as though you couldn't tell.
Mhm.
Brooklyn, as though you couldn't tell. And for a long time, my day job was like I did some writing and graphics, and I used to have still do technically have what we used to call a creative consulting agency. So we had clients like Baptist Health or whatever. We do this stuff for them, and graphics and videos and stuff. I do a lot less of that stuff now. Now I'm pretty much focused on getting this thing working and keeping it working right.
That is your day job. I was going to say, you don't have a day job because comedy is your day job now.
It is now. It is now.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great to hear, though. I always love when somebody makes it out of this thing, because comedy is just, the whole comedy scene is like a giant quicksand vat. Like we jump in because it looks fun, and then you just realize how hard it is to get out. So whenever somebody gets out and they're like, no, I'm making my living doing this now, it's like, oh my God, it's possible.
It's a bounce house with a black hole in the bottom.
That's exactly what it is. It's a gravitational pull towards failure is what it is. And you have to fight that gravity to get out.
Well, I don't know about failure. I think failure and success look very similar in this situation.
Do you have other projects?
Me?
Yeah.
I've written a few books on improv.
Mhm.
And we sell them at the theater. And like I said,
Maybe YouTube or anything like that.
There is a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of content on it now from Doghouse Theater. There is a Facebook thing. I haven't looked at it in years. There's an Instagram. I haven't looked at it in a year. There's something else. I don't know. I don't really mess with that stuff.
Are your books available on Amazon?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay, well, shout them out. Give us titles.
Oh, really? The Tao of Improv, TAO.
Okay.
Tao 2 and Tao 3. There's 3.
There you go. TAO, Tao, Improv.
There are
1, 2, and 3.
Audiobooks, Kindle, and paperback.
Boom. How'd you do the audiobooks? You do the recording yourself?
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
For you.
All right. Are you
We're going
ready?
to talk after this because I got a book on there too, and I want to do the audiobook.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Are you ready to play the blame game?
Me? Oh,
It's
I know I'm not looking at you. You're right.
it's always confusing when she does this.
I thought
You're like, I thought we were playing the blame game. What happened?
Are you ready?
I am ready to play the
play the
damn
blame
blame game.
We're blaming you now.
All right. So you have made it like kind of your day job to be a comedian. Who's to blame?
My father.
It's always the father. It's always the
He's
father.
very proud.
Well, he's very dead. So so that's as proud as you get. No,
Yeah.
no, he's a really cool guy,
Mhm.
funny guy.
Would he be proud?
Yeah, I mean, he was here at the beginning of it. So and through all the stuff down in Miami. So yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But like I said, he was a funny guy. Not just pull my finger, dad joke funny, but he was a clever guy and always encouraged me to question everything and everyone. Don't accept anything. And believe it or not, what was his job? He was in New York City.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Oh, you're breaking my heart here.
you never know.
You are, because my father is very similar. He always said, if you see everybody going one way, go and find a different way to go, because they're just lemmings going off a cliff.
Yeah, my dad
used to figure out a different thing.
Unless all the black people are running, then you gotta follow them. That's what I was told.
Yeah, you always follow.
Used to say if two people are arguing, you always know which one's right. He's the one who's not shouting.
See, my uncle told me that too. He's like, whoever is yelling in an argument, they know they're wrong, and that's why they're fighting so hard.
Yep.
Because if you know you're right, you don't have to yell.
All right.
I don't think anybody in QAnon knows anything.
Y'all have not.
Nobody has ever yelled.
Never been a
2
woman.
plus 2 equals 4.
Woman, you have to yell to get your word in.
Get in there. Get in.
All right.
There.
So
okay, I don't know why she always holds us to this hour like there's a buzzer that's gonna go off, but whatever.
For an hour by now. But anyway,
the dog has to go out, so it's.
The dog goes out on his own. I know her.
Anyway,
all right.
What I gotta do after this is I've got to work on in a roast on Wednesday, and I've got material, and I will with another comedian that's gonna help me do some writing tonight. So
I will help you do roast jokes free of charge. Yeah,
they're not charging me.
So
all right. So
well, we used to do the roast battles. We were the first ones that brought roast battles to South Florida. Me and Elgin David.
So do you have anything you want to promote? Clearly Doghouse Theater. I don't know why I didn't wear my Doghouse Theater shirt.
I don't respect people who do. I really don't.
You can't respect somebody who wears the shirt of the band when they go to see the concert.
So
you know what I mean?
Come do improv.
Don't be a tool.
I wouldn't wear it outside of Doghouse. I do.
I only wear the hat because my hair is a little weird today, and it's the only hat.
Yeah, put it back on.
Exactly. Yeah, the theater. Fridays and Saturday nights we have shows. We have classes all the time. Now Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And
cannot recommend Friday nights more. Cannot recommend Friday nights more.
Yeah, they're cool. Well, you'll see this person there. If not this Friday, next Friday, probably. I think.
What a cool, creative show.
We'll be there, and
I was thinking about Friday, but I don't know if I have something or not. I know I have Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I have Saturday and I have Sunday, so I might be aware.
Jason, if you haven't been to the Doghouse on Friday, I'm talking to you specifically, Jason.
Jason, you
go on Friday nights. You've never seen a show like it before. I promise.
It's totally your crowd too.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of waspy Republicans running around. I'm kidding, but that'll get Jason out for sure.
It is time for words for white people. Terry, what you got this week?
Okay, what do we got this week? We're not doing words for white people this week. And we're not doing words for all people this week. We are, and I'm so glad I get to do this.
Words for aliens?
No, I'm the alien. That's why I'm in space. But I'm so glad that Tom happened to be the guest when we're doing this one, because I've had such a good time talking to him. No, this week we're doing words for this guy. We're doing words for one person, which is just me. Because like I said in the beginning
sometimes
of this.
You're to blame, Terry.
Sometimes I am. We all are sometimes. Sometimes you're on the cross. Sometimes you're hammering nails. You know what I mean? No, words for me that I need to hear. And maybe somebody else needs to hear them as well. Words for me is, having come up here and gone through such a big culture shock again, because I'm from Memphis. I moved to Florida, moved back to Memphis, moved back to Florida, moved up here to this small little town. It can be a big shock, but I've always held my entire life that you should put yourself in a shock. So this week, what we're going to say is throw yourself into the fire. Because I've always believed in this. I remember, I was listening to a sermon of my father's when I was younger, and it was about, it was about being confronted. It was about being in an adversarial position in your life. And he just said, steel gets stronger every time you throw it into the forge. Every time you expose it to that heat again. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And the stronger you want it to be, the more times you got to put it into it. And I'm not boasting or anything, but like that is why I've had 4 successful businesses. That's why I'm a published author. That's why I was a restaurateur and an antiques dealer and traveled the world and did this. Is just because every time something freaked me out, scared me, took me out of my comfort zone, I literally ran towards it as fast as I could, almost like a panic attack, where it's like, if I see something that scares me, it makes me feel more comfortable to run into it than to run away from it, and I don't know where this comes from. It might be from my childhood and being bullied and all this and always running away, and then just becoming an adult and say, no, I'm going to run at it now. I don't know where it comes from, but it does make you stronger. And even though now that I'm here and I'm getting depressed because I'm in this new place and this new thing, it's making me think outside the box. It's making me think about different things. It's made, like we talked about it last week about I'm writing a new book. That's the only reason that I'm writing it, is because I'm here. If I was still in West Palm Beach, it never would have existed. Never.
Yeah.
So, and whether it fails or whether it succeeds, it doesn't matter. At the end of it, I'm going to be stronger because I faced another round in the fire.
Yeah.
So just remember, if you're like me and sometimes you need to hear it, yeah, things might suck right now, but you're just getting stronger for the next battle. And the stronger that sword is in you, the more likely it is that even though you might lose this battle, you're going to win the war. Because by the end of it, you're going to have the strongest sword on the field.
Amen. Preach.
What's up? My daddy would be proud.
Yeah, he would, because that was kind of a little bit of preaching.
That was a bit of a sermon, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a little bit of a sermon.
When you do it to white people, though, when you do it to white people, not.
Hey, everybody needs to hear that. I don't care what
I feel like that was more towards yourself.
It totally was something I needed to hear myself say, but I feel like some people could. Yeah, I'm gonna be all right. I'm always good.
So, as I was saying, I have coming up Wednesday, I'm at Miami Improv for the first time doing a roast battle. I got to prepare for it now. And then Saturday, I'm at Gypsy Moon doing a karaoke / comedy show. We're doing comedy, but then we're having some karaoke competition. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Sunday, I'm at Red Light. So though you got 3 chances to see me between now and next Sunday.
Just remember, when you're doing a roast battle, always go visual. Most of the crowd won't know all your little secrets and all your little peccadillos.
They look, but baby. Okay. And Tom, we got Tom Friday, Saturday for shows. You can hit Doghouse. And
as for me, you can check out the Worst Ones podcast on Spotify, YouTube, all the Apple podcasts, all the places you see there. Those come out weekly. The book is on Amazon. It's called Unclaimed Ashes. It's a novel. You can get that. And then that's it for right now for me.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week. Until next week. Bye, guys.